I did. Hey everyone, this is Michael Zupan with another edition, a live edition. It's the first in a very long time for the Greatness Delayed podcast for BitesizeImpressions.com. I am joined today by my sometimes co-host, Gabriel Galliani. Gabe, how you doing?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you.
Awesome. And also joining us for the very first time is somebody that we've gotten to know over the last few months very well. Kobe, otherwise known as Slickmoff, SLCMOF on YouTube and on Twitter. How you doing?
Good, yourself. Thank you for having me on. This is something that ever since I've seen, your podcast the last few months, I've been watching and enjoying. So thank you for having me on.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. And before we get into things, just to clear something up that's that we've noticed in the comments of your videos is that the other day when you covered a part of our podcast and we had I called you Slick Motherfucker and people were like, what's that all about? And I actually thought that Slickmoff was on the sly for Slick Motherfucker. I thought that was your name. So I wasn't trying to be cheeky. I wasn't trying to be rude or anything like that. I thought that's what the deal was. So I won't call you that anymore, knowing now that that's not the case.
You can. It's all good. I don't care.
I would actually call out for the whole Twitterverse to call him just that forever now.
He is a Slick Motherfucker. He's the one that we're dropping these beats to on this Batman game from now on.
No, seriously, this is what happens when you get an Italian and a New Yorker on a podcast. That's just
yeah, we're just kind of winging it and shooting the shit. I mean, this is a very impromptu podcast that we're doing this evening just because as Slick Moth had said during his last video or a couple videos ago when he was covering that last bit of news that we put out there, he listened to our podcast and he enjoyed it and he reached out and he said, hey, I'd like to be on sometime. And Gabe was talking to him this evening. He was like, let's do this. And I was like, oh, I'm not available. And then all of a sudden I was. So here we are. So
there it is.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. So it's only been a few days since Gabe and I recorded our last podcast, but there's already been some significant things happening in the video game world since then. Obviously, PSX 2016 just went down, which is something that there's a few things that I walked away from that I was kind of happy with. For the most part, though, I wasn't exactly wowed. I understand some of the positivity that a lot of people have after seeing PSX this year because there was a lot of diversity in the games that they were showing, but there's not too much that really had me like excited for the future. I think I'll hand this off to you right away, though, Slickmoff, since I know that you were paying attention to PSX, and I know that there's some games that were revealed that you were really excited about.
Yeah, I mean, I was most excited about Marvel vs. Capcom 4. Well, they're calling it Infinite. I was really excited to see that. It was leaked extensively beforehand, but it was still cool to see, and that's a game I look forward to. Overall, there was that moment at the end of the panel, if you recall. There was the moment where he's like, okay, we're going to wrap it up, but there's one more game.
I know what you were waiting.
And Gabe knows what I was waiting for. And it didn't happen.
I was waiting for it too, to be honest. But
the first cut it goes through, and it's a bunch of trees. I'm like, damn it. That's not what I was looking for.
Yeah, like I realistically knew that the game that you and your followers had been waiting for was not going to be there this year, just because for me personally, just looking at it from the outside, because I don't know a whole lot personally about the whole Batman universe otherwise than what's in the mainstream with the films and everything like that. So, or whatever they showed in the Batman animated series back in the day, or even the old Adam West Batman series, because I'm a big fan of that. I've got the animated movie they just released. I still have to watch that.
Wait, which one?
The animated film of the... No, it's The Return of the Caped Crusaders, and it's an animated film that actually is done in the style of 1960s Batman. Adam West reprises the voice of Batman. Burt Ward reprises the voice of Robin, and one of the original Catwoman, I forget her name. She's actually doing the voice of Catwoman in that too.
She's like 90.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like dream come true, and they're already barreling ahead with a sequel on this, and William Shatner is actually going to be Two-Face.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that too. So I was hoping to see the game, but the thing is, the information that we've been talking about with Batman, as you had revealed from our podcast on one of your episodes recently, Gabe heard about this game originally back in about August of 2015, which is something that we had confirmed. And the other source on NeoGAF that leaked even more information originally than we did, he said that the game was greenlit around that same time, or at least in like mid 2015. And I'm assuming based on greenlit, that means that some work had to have already been done for the studio to look at and say, okay, we want to push ahead with this.
Yeah,
is that right, Gabe?
Yeah.
That's usually how it works. Like they present a concept, a pitch, a good vertical slice even, and then, the higher powers go, okay, let's do this.
And for anybody that doesn't know too, Gabe has been my source for the information that's been coming through. And Gabe, what is it that you do so that people know?
Oh, I think people know already. I feel like the ones listening to this podcast in particular are already either following me on Twitter. But anyway, yeah, I'm a journalist. I've been doing this for 19 years. That's it.
And would it be in your best interest to just make shit up and pull it out of your ass?
No, not really.
And I
have no reason to. I mean, if you look at my Twitter page, I've been on Twitter for, I think, since either 2010 or maybe max 2011, and I have, I believe, less than 200 tweets. So I'm definitely not an internet person, a social media whore or whatever. Like it's an alien world for me. I work on print. I'm a dinosaur. I'm old. So
anyway, with that out of the way, for now, we'll get back to talking a little bit about Batman a little bit later. But Slick Moth.
Yes.
Tell us more about that Marvel game that you were excited to see.
Oh yeah, Marvel vs. Capcom. I remember playing, I think it was the second one on PS2 when I was really young. And Capcom is one of those things.
Gabe's got it right down there in the window.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. Is that PS2? Oh no, that's Dreamcast. My lord. Yeah. Wow. So
he said he was a dinosaur.
So, it's a classic game, and the gameplay for it was really good. We saw Captain Marvel, Iron Man in there, and as I said, I'm more interested in the Marvel side of it than Capcom, but I think it's gonna turn out really good. They've got a story mode in this one, whereas some of the ones in the past haven't. So it's gonna be like a story. They're gonna create their own villain for it. From what I understand, they're combining potentially Thanos and a major Capcom villain into one and creating like a super villain for the story. So we'll see where that goes, but
that's actually potentially pretty cool.
Yeah, the only problem with it, I was actually I bought and re-downloaded Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Ultimate, and if you have epilepsy, you will have a seizure playing the game. Like it's pretty bad. I mean, it's crazy, like the lights and just everything. So
yeah.
But I got a headache, and I don't have epilepsy or anything like that. But it's pretty crazy.
Now, how many details do you know are actually revealed about this game? Is it just the trailer basically that's out there right now?
Yeah, pretty much. They revealed a few details. They talked about how this is 2v2 instead of 3v3 in terms of the mashups. They talked like I mentioned, there's going to be a story mode. From what I heard, Street Fighter V was a disaster of a launch. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's good because I didn't play the game, so I missed out on the bad one. I guess it's kind of like Call of Duty. Some people would say they're all bad, but anyway. So I think they're going to learn from their mistakes with Street Fighter V. With I guess just like a lack of content is what it was. Like,
I got so much hate mails for my review of that game because I gave it a 6 on the magazine because it was so unfinished. Like,
yeah.
Polished as fuck in terms of mechanics. Yeah, there were some tweaks to be made and whatnot, but they didn't have to sell that for full price. Like that was a mistake.
Right. Basically,
now it's better.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, basically, what happened in short was that they basically kicked that game out the door in time in order to make the Street Fighter tournament that year.
Yeah.
Earlier this year. Because at the time of launch, while yes, as Gabe said, mechanically, the fighting mechanics were amazing. I mean, it was probably the best feeling Street Fighter game I've played since 2, barring that I had not played 3 back in the day. I know Gabe's a big fan of that one, but at the time of launch and for a long time after launch, you spent more time on the waiting screen to get connected to another player to fight than you actually spent fighting in game. So that is pretty much a disaster for a fighting game where you link everything to online multiplayer services. It's a tragedy. Like, fuck Street Fighter 5.
Oh, come on.
Hey, listen, you know, it's the same thing that's going on right now. The Last Guardian is coming out tomorrow, and there's a lot of talk on the internet right now, on Twitter and on social media today, because there's a lot of things about that game that are frustrating for people. And what's that guy? Jesus, I have to find it.
Philip Collar?
No, the IGN guy. Is his name Ryan something?
Ryan McCaffrey.
Yeah, Ryan McCaffrey. He's like, oh, hey, listen, you know, like the dog doesn't do what I want it to do, and you know the camera's total shit.
That's
and he
by fucking design, man.
And then he was like, but oh, that's cool anyway. And then, you know, the IGN still ended up giving it a 7 out of 10. You know, and it's not by design, because Jim Sterling actually made another video, and he goes into this a bit deeper. He's like, look, I remember recording this part of the video. He said, I'm standing on this ledge. I've been here like 20 times before. I've stood in this spot. I've called the dog over. He wouldn't come over. So I'm trying to figure out what the fuck else to do. So after, you know, 21 times or so, I go back to the same spot again. I try the same exact thing in the same exact spot. And wouldn't you know, he comes over. And he was showing off some of the dog mechanics where it's like, yeah, you see the dog, he just did that like little pickup mechanic, like he was going to pick something up with his mouth and he missed it. Well, you know, that's like, there's a lot of frustrating components that a lot of people are reporting on. And
dude, I'm telling you, it's by design. A lot of that stuff, it's by design. Like Ueda said so. He said it's to give the animal character. Like, he doesn't have to do whatever the fuck you want. He kind of has to feel that he wants to do it. I know it's weird. I know it could be, you could take it as bullshit, but I fucking believe in Ueda, so I don't give a shit.
This time next month, they're going to have a patch out that addresses that shit.
Okay.
Wait and see.
Okay.
Now back to the Marvel thing, though, because I keep getting strayed away from that. The fact that they're calling that Infinite instead of 4, that has me a little concerned. Because if it was 4, it says to me that the business model that they're looking at is, we're going to release this game, maybe we'll have some DLC, fine. But it seems like maybe they're going to be holding back a bit more. And it's just pure speculation on my part based on the name that they've chosen, which could mean absolutely nothing. But PSX just happened days ago. What else am I going to do but speculate?
Yeah.
We see a lot of fighting games right now kind of doing this season pass thing, or at least rolling things out in season. Street Fighter 5, for example, like they're starting their new character roster with an old favorite. Was his name Akuma? Yeah. So that's going to be season 2 for Street Fighter 5.
Or Goki for the purists.
Yeah. And then there's also been Killer Instinct that's been doing a seasonal thing. I kind of wonder if that's the approach they're going to take with this game.
Oh, I think they are. I think they're going to do pretty much the same thing they want to do with Street Fighter 5. I think this is going to be the last one. It could be even smart if they, in terms of licenses, if you keep it going, because, you know, they expire, and then there were troubles in the past about the Marvel license. So maybe they work something that it's advantageous for them. So yeah, I think they're definitely going to do that.
In regards to the title, though, I will say this. Their sort of defense on that, what they would tell you is that it's called Infinite because the Infinity Stones play an important part of the game. They give you like power-ups in terms of speed and stuff like that. I don't know exactly how it works, but yeah, there's like a power Infinity Stone. There's a speed, there's a time one. So Infinite plays on that a little bit, but it also, I think, means infinite DLC. So I think you're sort of right on that.
You know, that's fine, though. If they're wrapping that name around a mechanic and not a long-term sales strategy, I'm totally cool with that. I mean, I expect any game that gets released nowadays to have DLC. It's just,
but I think
the way it is.
I think both are true. I think this will be the last one, and I think they'll continually release characters for years to come. And they might even do supply drop stuff, or loot boxes, whatever game you're playing, they call it something different, where the Infinity Stones, like you have the Speed Stone, you have the Power Stone, but like its power and different ways it affects your power can be changed by like the loot boxes that you get. So I think that's a possibility as well. So like basically microtransactions at that point.
Ooh, microtransactions.
Yeah.
That's ugly for me.
Yeah.
Like I'll support DLC before I'll support microtransactions, like, you know, Mortal Kombat, you know, X, when it was having like those tokens for easy fatalities.
Dude, Injustice is going to be a shit show. I can already tell you with that stuff. Like, it's going to be, because the gear system, the way they have it with the gear system is that like you can get an ability or a gear and it increases your power. So like if, let's just say I'm, you know, Superman and I have these gloves on, they do more damage than somebody with other gloves. And they're going to introduce a mechanic where you can buy gear and get gear. I mean, it's random. You can't buy like that particular, I want that, but it's random. Nonetheless, I mean, if you put in enough money, you'll reap rewards there.
Superman is the last character in any comic universe that I would expect needs a pair of fucking gloves.
Yeah.
Like his bare fist will put you through a wall. Several.
Pretty much. But yeah, the Injustice Superman always has gloves on. I don't know why. But
visual aesthetic.
Yeah. So I'm just curious, are you guys planning to pick up The Last Guardian? Because you know, it's one of those things, like, it's been so overhyped. I feel like now that it's finally here, the hype is kind of low for it, relatively. Like, I don't know. I don't see anybody freaking out about it. I'm just saying.
For the day prior to launch, other than the typical, you know, Sony fandom, yeah, I mean, it seems like a lot of hype has been dying down a little bit based on the reviews and the comments that have been out there, the stuff that I was just talking about.
Right.
I still want to play the game because, like, it's different, and I know that Shadow of the Colossus and Ico before it have been highly praised and highly respected. I personally haven't played those games, which is a shame. I've got them in my collection. I'll get around to it at some point. But, like, I like the art style. I like the ideas. I'm asking for it for Christmas just simply because I've bought so many freaking video games in the last couple of months. I just can't do it right now. But it's the only thing I asked for Christmas, so I'm pretty sure it's a lock. So I'm excited to get around to playing it, but right now, like, I'm still spending a lot of time in Battlefield 1. I want to finish the Call of Duty Infinite Warfare campaign because it's fairly short. And I picked up Final Fantasy 15, and I've only put like an hour and a half into that so far, so I've got a long road on that. Yeah.
I think someone's gonna gift it to me for Christmas, so I didn't held on to any copies or anything. So
the thing is that Gabe is a physical collector, and the fact that this game has a statue with Trico and the boy, and pre-order this, my mind is blown.
Yeah, I have a feeling my lady is gonna surprise me for Christmas. So
and she knows you well enough that you want the statue, right?
Yeah.
To go right next to your fucking shitty Metal Gear Solid 5 arm,
or
that's
my
not even real size,
or my beautiful Geralt on the Griffon. Yeah,
that is pretty awesome. I've seen one of those up close before. Yeah, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
What did you guys did you all see Crash? What did you think about that? Not really.
I think I love Crash, and I actually want to be excited for this remaster of Crash. I'm happy that people who may have never played Crash back on the PlayStation 1, be it that their age or maybe they just didn't pick those games up or they weren't interested in those kinds of games back in the day, I'm happy that the collection's coming out remastered so that people can try it and play it. But looking at the comparison between what's being released and the original design, I actually prefer the original design. In this case, that's not always the case with remasters. Sometimes I really like the new stuff that comes out, but you know, it's just there's something more cartoony and more colorful and that just so eye-popping about the original games that they've sort of taken away in this new remaster. They tried to, you know, make Crash look a tad bit more realistic with the fur and the way his eyes look and everything like that. It's still very cartoony, but like it kind of dims his color palette a little bit. Some of the stonework and everything like that, again, cartoony designs on them, but they're trying to make everything, you know, the environment look a tad more realistic, and I'm not really feeling it.
I feel the same. I mean, I'm not big on remasters in general.
No, me either.
Not unless they remaster Xenogears, then I'm all over it. But other than that, I agree about the fact that it's great for people that have not played those games time and time again when they were kids and when the games were released originally. Basically, like I was there when they released. I played the shit out of them. I don't feel any urge to play them again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I didn't play the original Crash 1 on PS. I never owned a PS1. The first console I owned was a PS2 in the PlayStation line, PS2. So the first Crash I definitely didn't play. The second one would have been on PS2, right?
No.
No, the original trilogy was all on PS1.
Oh, shit.
And the amazing Crash Team Racing, one of the best kart games ever.
That's sarcasm, right?
No.
Oh, it's not.
Really, really, really liked it.
Okay.
I was gonna reach down and grab them. I've got them right over here, but I can't see what I'm grabbing.
Right. So I'll probably buy it, just to be honest. I mean, yeah, because I'm too young to have played.
Yeah, and go for it. They are fantastic games.
Yeah.
For someone who's not like grown up playing the original versions of those games, like totally get into those. I mean, they're fun. They're fun games.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, I mean, I have played Crash. I just don't remember what Crash I played. Like, I can't remember. I couldn't tell you what game it was, but I do remember playing Crash Bandicoot in my childhood, but probably not a lot of this stuff, because I'm sure they made more after the ones that are being remastered, surely.
Yeah, there were some Crash games, I think, on the PS2, right, Gabe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe even one on the PS3? I can't remember.
I'm trying to remember if the what was it called? Not the giant one, the Titans one. What was it called, Mike? Help me out.
I really don't know. I hadn't played any of the ones that were out on those newfangled machines.
So let's pretend I didn't forget a name of a Sony game. Just so you know.
You're fired. No, we're not going to be hearing that anymore. Donald Trump is president. He will no longer be doing The Apprentice. Side note, did anybody happen to catch the new trailer for the new Celebrity Apprentice that's coming out in January?
Oh, Lord, no.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is now the guy in charge.
He's now Donald Trump.
He's now Donald Trump, and it looks like a fucking circus. Oh,
Dude,
boy.
He's got to have a good payout on that, though.
So, PSX, I tuned in like halfway through the first video that they were showing. I thought I was like a half an hour late, but apparently they didn't get things going on time. So I timed in right at the end of the Uncharted: The Lost Legacy trailer, which oh yeah. Do you play Uncharted?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
I know he does. So no, I don't. I mean, I want to get into it, but I've never played it. But I know they're really good games, of course, from what I've heard, and Naughty Dog is a really talented developer, obviously. But no, so I don't really understand what it is. I was seeing some things about how it's a new game. I was also seeing some things about how it's like a story DLC. So you guys can probably explain that to me, because I don't really get what it is.
I mean, essentially, the Uncharted games, they're basically very high octane. They're kind of like modern day Indiana Jones, basically. Nathan Drake is the character that you've played in the 4 games that have been released, and he fits as an action star, swinging from ropes and shooting guns and climbing on top of tanks, while they're in full motion, while he's getting dragged by his feet, behind the damn thing, and
getting girls,
the whole thing, like, going into jungles and deserts and all that stuff. I mean, very, very, very cool stuff. They said that there was going to be some single player DLC after Uncharted 4 release. Uncharted 4 basically wraps up the story with the characters as we know it. The character that we see, her name is Chloe in this, and she's been a character in these games.
Yeah.
I think I've seen her before.
Yeah, she was mostly Uncharted, 2 and 3?
2. Yeah.
Just 2? and she's back. She's back. So that's got a lot of people excited, and rightfully so, I think, because I think she was a pretty cool character, and I think following her could be potentially very, very interesting. It just seems like that they're trying to oversell this a little bit, though, because it's not following Nathan Drake. They're not just going to say, hey, buy this expansion DLC and you'll be able to access it from your Uncharted 4 disc menu. Like, they want to kind of sell it, I think, as its own standalone kind of thing. So, it's not going to be that substantial. They're saying it's going to be a little bit longer than the Last of Us DLC episode that they released, which was like 3 hours, I think.
That was really good.
It was amazing, but it was 3 hours, and they're saying that this will be even longer than that, which is okay. But like, I want to see a price point.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
it started as DLC, but then it got kind of bigger, so they felt anyway.
Which Gabe won't play because he won't play Uncharted 4 either.
Why? Oh, because you're disgruntled with it, with like newer games. Yeah.
No, not with all newer games, but Uncharted.
He's disgruntled with anything, any Sony related games. Is that right?
Oh, come on.
I'm just fucking with you, man. I'm not trying to get you fired here.
In terms of that, I mean, the thing about it for me, though, also is like, why are they? Because that's going to distract from The Last of Us, won't you say? Like, them developing that. I mean, The Last of Us, even like, if we're Last of Us Part 2, obviously, like, best case scenario. I mean, you guys are more in tune with the industry than I am in terms of like, you know, you've been around for longer and you can probably speculate. I would say that like late 2018 is being hopeful for that game, The Last of Us Part 2.
I would personally agree. I think that the way that Naughty Dog tends to operate is that they have like, you know, their larger team, you know, internally, like working on their main project that's coming out next, while they have a smaller portion of their team, I believe, that usually works on the project that's going to be following up behind that. And then once they finish the big project, then they can move the people from the small team to the bigger team, and then they keep swapping back and forth like that. So they probably have a much smaller team working on this expansion DLC for Uncharted 4, while, you know, they're really starting to get in high gear probably in the very early development stages with this new Last of Us game, because they said it's in very, very early development. And I believe it, because Uncharted 4 just came out earlier this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they probably just recorded that scene like totally. That might be one of those scenes that like when you play the game, it's not even in the game. You know what I mean? Like it was shot just for the trailer. I think so. Because I don't know.
Anything could happen. All I know is that I like that she's. Did you play that game?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I don't want to spoil the ending of it for anyone, but I will say that the interaction between those two characters that were in that trailer, it really makes me think back to what happened with them, like in the final moments of the game, the first game, because like I think maybe what we're witnessing is things playing out based on something that she learned that may not have been true.
It makes me want to replay the game. Like I'm about to rebuy it on PS4 because I played it on PS3, and it made me really want to replay the game and get into that because. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And I was listening to the game director, I forget his name on it, but he said like, yeah, the first game is about like the love between these two characters and like their bond. And the second one, you know, this game is very much so about revenge. So that's going to be like an interesting dynamic. And that clip that we saw from it really portrays that pretty well. If you think about it, portrays those themes.
Yeah,
I think he actually
kind of a massacre in the
Yeah.
I think he actually went for it and said like it might even represent hatred, which is definitely a very, very different theme from what, you know, persevered over the first game. I mean, the first game was very, very sad and depressing throughout.
Hopeless.
It was hopeless. Yeah, absolutely. And in a way, for as good as that game was and as good as the story was, it was hard to play sometimes because of how much of a downer it was. And you don't necessarily look for that when you're trying to escape playing video games all the time. But it was very well done. And to see a more hateful theme enter that very sad, depressive mix is going to be, it's going to be absolutely soul crushing. And crickets chirp.
No, I was thinking that the ending is, to this day, is what I think one of the bravest endings that I've seen in a video game. Like it took courage to wrap it up like that, and I really enjoyed it. I'm kind of mad that there's still the same two characters, though. I was so hoping for something, a different story.
I agree with you mostly, and the reason why.
Sorry, just gonna finish very quickly.
Sure, go ahead.
It's not that I hate that there are the same characters. Like, I love the characters, but I feel that it kind of takes away some power from the ending of the previous one. So I really hope this one will top the previous one. So I will just forget about the little thing.
As I was saying, I agree with you. I wanted something different myself. I said their story was told. How can they do a sequel and incorporate these characters again without ruining what they had left things at the end of the first game? And those fears were somewhat alleviated, though, by seeing that trailer. I think they're actually going in a very good direction, a direction that I didn't actually anticipate that they'd actually go with. You know, because like Naughty Dog, they have very, very talented writers for their games, for the storytelling, almost to a fault, because Uncharted 4 it had some very decent set pieces in that game, and in some respects it was the most action-packed game in the franchise, but it came at the cost of taking control away from the player too many times throughout that campaign.
Which game are you talking about?
Uncharted 4.
4, okay.
Yeah, I felt like it took things away for the sake of telling the story that it wanted to tell, because that's where Naughty Dog have been going. Like, they're massive storytellers at this point. It is their greatest strength. And I didn't think that they'd be able to pull something off that would be adequate for The Last of Us 2. And after seeing that commercial, I'm entirely in. I'm entirely in. However, I am afraid that once again, they're going to be more concerned about telling the story than letting me actually play the game.
And Neil Druckmann did sort of address that. Like, he addressed the fact that, he understands that people have a strong attachment to the ending of the first game and really appreciated what that ending meant and was. And to me, it was sort of amazing, like, sort of playing through it, that the ending doesn't feel disappointing. Like, you would think that after playing that ending, like, I don't know, I was like, oh, that's it. But, it feels like, fulfilling in its own way, in a unique way, I would say. But he says he understands that, and he understands, like, the importance that meeting has to a lot of people and why people feel that they want that to just be the end. And he's going to try to, pay respect to that as much as he can. It's basically what he said at the conference. Just
as a little bro talk here, Gabe, the thing that I actually found a little interesting was that you actually seem to really respect the ending that they landed on for The Last of Us.
Yeah.
You and I talk about films quite often.
Oh, God.
And if this was a movie and it ended that way, you would have said that it was reviewer clickbait bullshit.
Critic bait.
Critic bait. That's what it is. That's what you would have said, I mean. Not me. I liked it.
Well, I know exactly what the movie you're talking about, and
no, multiple movies. Anything that has an ambiguous fuck type ending, ambiguous type ending. You seem to hate that.
We're gonna
have closure. You want?
Yeah, we're gonna have a big conversation about this in another podcast, because I can't possibly explain you why this is not a cliffhanger ending in The Last of Us without explaining the ending. So I don't want to spoil it for anyone. So
okay, fair enough.
Keep that in mind.
Make that point. We'll talk about it later.
I'm gonna destroy your point, man.
I hope you do, because I want to understand where you're coming from.
Okay.
That's my ultimate goal whenever I'm busting your balls about stuff like that. So I'm looking at the list of the stuff that they had. We already talked about Crash Bandicoot, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Another trailer for Horizon Zero Dawn. I mean, at this point, like they didn't even have to show that during PSX because I mean we've seen enough of it already, haven't we?
I'm actually looking forward to the game.
I am too, big time, and I think Gabe is as well. Yeah. But like
he's got that smirk. He's got that smirk. Like, no, I'm not looking forward to it.
No, you have to understand one thing. I seem like a downer because I don't get super cheerleader vibe or mood when there are like the PSX or whatnot. But this is my job. Like, I know this is stuff that I follow every day. Like, there's rarely something new that I haven't seen at these events. Mm-hmm. So no, I'm definitely looking forward to Horizon. I'm just waiting till we talk about the other game.
We'll get there because I
Come on. No. The other game, it's tied to Horizon in some way, or to Guerrilla Games.
Oh, okay, all right. We'll bring it up right now. Death Stranding. All right, we'll bring it up.
Okay.
Oh god, so good, so fucking good.
Now, for anybody who hasn't been listening to our podcast for a while, Gabe, he's like the Wikipedia in human flesh of the Metal Gear franchise. Like this guy, he loves anything Hideo Kojima touches. So the fact that this game is being made, he already knows he's going to buy it. Like he doesn't know what those cryptic trailers mean, but god damn it, he's sold.
Yes.
As I think many of us are.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like, I feel like at this point, Kojima has this thing going where like he can just compound the most amount of nonsense that means absolutely nothing into a trailer and release it, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's brilliant, it's genius." And he's like, "No, it's not. I just put some random stuff in there." Not saying that's what the trailer. I know that's not the case. I'm just saying if he wanted to, he could do that.
I'm gonna surprise you. Last year, I wrote a very big editorial about why Metal Gear Solid 5 had a shit story. Okay. So it's not that I lack critical thinking.
All right.
However, I played about 220 hours of Metal Gear 5. So, I definitely like it. No, but I'm just...
I was talking with him the other day, and he told me he played 700 fucking hours of Demon's Souls at one point. 700 hours.
Yeah, you guys mentioned that on stream, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about. I remember you talking about that.
And 220 hours on that unfinished game. That's a very good game, but that's excessive, man.
Come on. The thing about Kojima is that for some reason he touches all the strings with me. So I know I'm going to enjoy the product. And as a matter of fact, I never review his products because I don't feel it's fair to the consumers for me to review a Kojima game because I'm such a big fan. Like, I don't know if there's stuff that we think alike about. So I really see the visions and whatnot. But yeah, I'm waiting for that game, man. I don't give a fuck about Del Toro. I don't give a fuck about Mikkelsen. I don't give there could be no celebrity in the game and I would be fine. I already like the setting. I like the fact that he's off the leash completely this time. So
the setting is cool.
Yeah, I just want to see how deep the rabbit hole of his madness goes. That's pretty much it.
You got to admit that. Mike, you've got your mic muted.
He probably doesn't even have like anything done on this game yet, except trailers and the fact that he's selling a vinyl record, pre-ordering rather. Like the thing that I'm pretty sure the game is going to be awesome. Hideo Kojima really knows how to make a game. However, the thing that I'm curious about is that for all the shit that Kojima gets, not Kojima, I mean Konami, they're assholes for sure. Like, and I think that they fucked that up in a lot of ways. The development of Metal Gear Solid 5. However, but at some point, like from a business standpoint, you have to understand we're talking about a guy who makes games who's such a fucking perfectionist that like he's just throwing money out the window for years and years and years, and they have to be like, dude, time out, like enough, like stop spending our fucking money and release something already. Yeah. Like, Sony is more than happy to pull in, Hideo Kojima and be like, oh yeah, here, use the modified Guerrilla engine and everything. It's great. We love to have you aboard. And like, eventually, are they going to be like, did he just spend fucking $95 million on this game? We haven't even spent a dime on marketing yet. Like, holy shit. Like how many times is he going to be able to get away with that under Sony's branch? Because Sony, whenever things do not work out financially, or like a game comes out and it doesn't make the hype, like they famously quickly divorce themselves from whoever it is they're working. Like The Order 1886, we released that game. Was that a PS4 exclusive? Shit, we don't remember that. Like, it's, I wonder how this is going to work out for Kojima and Sony, or if like in 6 years from now, we're going to be hearing stories about how like they're not talking anymore, or maybe there's some lawsuits that we don't know anything about.
Could be.
Interesting note to end that game on, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything that you guys want to say about the cryptic trailers though? Like, do you guys have any theories? Because obviously one of the things that any Kojima game has going for it is that for the years leading up to release, like the conspiracy theories fly like crazy, and it's already well in motion with this game.
I've been burned the last game with the conspirators thinking that I was a conspirator. So I was paid by Konami or some shit when I wrote the articles on Kotaku. So I'm not even going to go there this time. I'm just going to enjoy and just brainlessly watch everything that he releases.
Like, I see people like comparing like the scar on the baby compared to the scar on like one of the characters that already showed up in one of the trailers, and they're like, oh, it's the same scar. Oh my God. Like, it's, people are going crazy already. Like they're gonna burn themselves.
Don't do this to me. Stop it. Let's change subject. I'm gonna go mad.
That'll be me when the new Batman game trailer drops, though.
Sometime near the end of 2017.
No.
I just think like the one thing that we'll get into it just a little bit here. The one thing that you've been kind of going on about in your videos a lot is that you've been saying it's like, man, they've been working on this for 3 years. We don't know that. Like, I mean, yeah, they haven't released a game in 3 years, but
okay, but there's my question. What in the world has this studio been doing for that year and a half? If the game was greenlit summer 2015. Let's
say that, because this other Gabe also had mentioned to me way back when that a Suicide Squad game was in development. We haven't really heard anything about that because we don't know anything about that. But this other source again on NeoGAF that confirmed that Batman game, and he also confirmed the Suicide Squad game. He mentioned that Suicide Squad was going to come 2017. So maybe that was their main project in those earlier years, and maybe this Batman game's got a ways to go.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, then the Suicide Squad game comes first. It's just interesting that one guy, Jason Schreier, he came through and is saying that he's talking about the Nemesis system. He's talking about, all sorts of new stuff, actually. And he also said that the trailer was going to be released early December. Now, the trailer hasn't happened about that. But, it would seem that whichever game gets the trailer first, and I don't know, I always just sort of thought like the one that's getting leaked most extensively, not just by you guys, but everywhere, pretty much, is we can reasonably expect is going to be the one that's furthest along in development. But there's got to be something in that year and a half. I mean, a studio of 400 employees doesn't just not do anything for a year and a half.
That's very true. That's very true. But but at the same time, this studio is working on the next leg of Batman. Rocksteady has been in charge, except for Origins. They've been in charge for the mainline Batman games up to this point. And WB, they're also, not scared to release games that are very Batman-like in their gameplay mechanics. Shadows of Mordor had a very Batman-ish battle system. Along with some Assassin's Creed, climbing around and everything like that mixed in, instead of, using like zip lines and stuff like that to fly around and everything and get up to the top of buildings. Mad Max, that was another one that seemed to have that Batman brawling kind of mechanic in it. So, I mean,
I still haven't played that one.
I haven't played it either, but I know that's what the battle system's like. But
I know why they're working so long in this game. They're trying to make a good PC version, probably. And I'm saying this as someone that has fucking Arkham Knight on PC, and
Oh Lord, you didn't refund it?
now it works. Now it
Okay.
works. Now it's beautiful.
Yeah, well, I still think there's some. Gabe says it like Gabe and I have almost virtually the same exact like rigs, and the thing is like he says it runs flawlessly 60 frames per second for him, and while I'm getting 60, like if I'm flying around in the sky, like with the cape and everything, and I'm like kind of turning the camera kind of fast, like it dips in the 40s, and so
yeah, you can notice it.
Yeah, so I don't think it's quite as well optimized as it should have been yet still, and never will be. However, yeah, it does run okay, pretty well
runs,
at high settings.
Okay,
it runs.
For me, if I turn everything on the highest settings, and if I don't want to have that kind of constant dip, I cap it at 30 frames per second, and it's been fine. So yeah.
Oh shit. Oh no, sorry. I thought an important movie trailer dropped, but it's just the Transformers movie. Nobody cares.
I don't think the next Batman movie is ready yet, Kobe.
Oh yeah, that's a while. I thought it might have been Spider-Man, but that movie's coming out soon, by the way.
Batman, 20 pounds heavier.
Is that what they're gonna call it?
It's crazy to me because like Ben Affleck, man, I mean the dude is fucking ripped, right? But like he looks so chunky in that goddamn bat suit.
He does, doesn't he?
Yeah.
His face looks cramped. His face looks mushed.
Yeah. Yeah. And those suits are notoriously uncomfortable to wear in the first place. I can't imagine Snyder's suit was very comfortable for Batfleck.
The best one was the Michael Keaton one that it used to turn like this because the neck wasn't turning.
There's no neck, yeah. Let me ask you, do you guys said you both have Arkham Knight. Are you guys fans of the Arkham games at all? Or
I am.
Not really.
Yeah.
You are? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't played Origins, but yeah, I like the games a lot.
I'm not a huge fan of your audience is going to blast me with this. I'm not a huge comic book fan. So I like them. I'm not a big fan, but I like them.
I don't think you have to be a huge comic book fan because I'm like I don't have a single comic book in this house, save for maybe a few Plants vs. Zombies comics that my son has, But like, I respect good games, and Batman, Arkham Asylum. When that game came out, for me, that's still the #1 Batman game that's ever been released. I mean, there was something about taking control of Batman and all the mechanics and the controls and the way that you utilized him and his tools and everything. You felt like Batman in that game. And not only that, but being that you were on Arkham Asylum, there was this sense of claustrophobia that kept some sort of element of fear alive at all times that has not been reproduced in a Batman game since. Like Arkham City was a decent game, but I don't think that it was as tight and as effective as Asylum was. And Knight kind of brought the danger back, being on the street with the bat tank and everything. I know a lot of people hate that because of how much you have to use that throughout the campaign and everything. Gabe down there raising his hand, but and I can definitely see that because it does get to be a bit much. It's like every time you're driving around, you're always, but you can just choose to kind of fly away and not deal with that shit at the same time. But
it's actually my favorite Batman. So, It's actually my favorite Batman game. My favorite.
Oh, Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's my favorite too. But
see,
I do like it more than City. I do like it more than City. So I mean, it's a good game.
Yeah,
I just wish that it didn't have all those optimization issues. But for anybody who played it on console, they didn't really have any issues at the time of launch. Just PC.
Oh no, it runs great. I mean, Rocksteady knows how to optimize a game. It's just if you have it on
PC, consoles.
Because the PC game wasn't made by Rocksteady.
Right. That was farmed out to a smaller studio.
A port company, and the port company is incompetent, as they usually are with that stuff. So.
I wonder if it was a matter of incompetency though, or like they just didn't have enough time,
money.
Right. So
not giving a shit.
Maybe all of the above. Maybe they are incompetent. I really don't know.
Yeah. No money and they're stupid.
We're so kind to developers.
So I'm curious. Are people sending you questions?
Oh yeah, people are sending me questions on Twitter, and people are leaving them in the chat right here on Mike's channel.
Oh shit! I
Oh,
haven't even
wow.
noticed that.
Yeah, there's a lot of comments going through here on the channel.
I guess I should close the toolbox and look at Oh, on the YouTube. Okay.
Yeah, on the YouTube video.
See, like usually, like when we do this live, like nobody watches, so like we do it live, but
Yeah, there's a good amount of comments. Shout out to Samantha, Javik, Joshua, Hypological, Mr. Bowsby.
okay, I see the chat now.
Can you,
Red Hood
can
420.
Hi everyone.
Mike, can
Yeah.
you send me a link on
Yeah, I'll
Skype
send
or
you the link.
something? Okay, thanks.
Sure. I only put it up on Twitter and everything, but hey.
So, if you guys have questions, you can leave them in there, and then I'll read the ones that I think he might have a chance at somewhat addressing. Otherwise, there's no point.
Well, before we get into questions, then why don't we just? I don't know, Gabe. How do you want to handle it?
I don't know. I should absolutely say something before we even start, which is that from now for some time, don't expect big reveals or anything. There's not going to be many more big details about this game because I simply can't. I think it's fair to the people that are developing it. I think it's fair to the guys that are, providing me the information. So for sure, I'm going to keep saying some things, but nothing big. For sure, I'm not going to show any picture. I could describe them. I don't know if that's good enough.
Yeah, you can. If you'd like to do that, that would.
Well,
be.
one of the questions is actually if
and
you
wait,
had seen.
Because I'm going to forget for sure.
Okay.
The other day when I watched Kobe's video, in the podcast, in the segment where he put our podcast, I noticed that I confirmed something by mistake. Okay. So when I was confirming the villains leaked by the guy on NeoGAF, now tell me if I'm wrong, but the guy had also leaked Poison Ivy and Penguin, right?
Well, he leaked that particular guy, I believe, leaked Poison Ivy, but there's been a more recent alleged source that has mentioned the Penguin, I believe.
Okay, here's the thing. I said, yeah, I can confirm those because you talked about White. Let me check the list. White Rabbit and somebody else.
Flamingo.
Okay, and I can confirm that, but I have no informations about Poison Ivy nor Penguin. So that's just to clarify the thing.
Yeah, I mean, I can just say it seems to me from what you've told us that a lot of the villains that they're going with are more obscure ones. So, the mainstream ones that we've seen in the previous Arkham games appear to be taking like a backseat because Flamingo, White Rabbit, we've never seen them in the DD twins, as you mentioned. Those are Batman Beyond villains. So, I mean, it's pretty interesting from where I'm looking at it in terms of.
I can tell you that I know of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, about, because these ones are, so between.
Quick, everybody look at the reflection in his glasses.
No. Oh, God. No, let's say 15.
So there's a lot of villains in this game.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure. I'm not sure that's exactly a strength. I mean, I think.
Well, there was one leak that there's supposedly some mechanic in the game which would make sense having this many villains, right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, the Nemesis system.
And I know nothing about that, so
yeah. If that's true, that was from the guy that said we were going to get a trailer early December, and there isn't one. So.
See, the thing is, Jason Schreier, like I've heard a lot of that Jason guy, like he's well known in the video game journalism, aspect of the industry because he writes for Kotaku, and he's a prominent writer on that website. Kotaku is a pretty prominent website. They're not IGN or GameSpot, but like they're one of them up there. They're one of the big sites, and I personally take a lot of what Jason Schreier says with a grain of salt, just because I think he has a tendency to mislead his readers sometimes for the sake of getting a story out there. Like I remember a while back, I believe he is the writer who leaked Assassin's Creed Syndicate and what Syndicate was going to be after Unity had launched. And he was like, "Oh yeah, somebody just gave this to me," and I'm like, "Nah, I don't think it worked that way. I think they were probably like, let's put a controlled leak out there because so many people are upset about Assassin's Creed Unity. So maybe if we provide you some screenshots or something and talk about this game, and we'll tell you some details, and you talk about it, people will start thinking about the next game and stop being pissed off at the current game that's not very well optimized." So I think Jason Schreier's a little shady sometimes, but like, if he says he's heard some certain details about games, it's worth taking into consideration.
I'd like also to say that he's capable of writing some really great pieces, though. Like, I've read some good pieces by him. I'm not a fan of his, but I respect some of his work. So there's that.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about him before he started talking about Batman, to be honest. So just being honest, I hadn't really seen him beforehand. But, I assume that, if you get at the point where he's at, he has to have some sort of knowledge or credibility, some degree or talent, in terms of writing. So that's the way I see it.
So since we're just in the thick of it now anyway, questions.
Yeah.
I mean, is there anything before questions come at you, Gabe, that you want to say about what you may be able to say, what you may not be able to say?
I
mean, you kind of already did, but
I think today I leaked something to Kobe.
Yeah, that's a question that I have. Can I ask you about what we talked about in Skype today?
Oh, you can just straight up say it. I was trying to play the cool kid and just lead you to the answer, but
so I can say that Mr. Freeze is in the game.
Okay.
I can say that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The important thing is this. I cannot confirm 100% what's going to be in the retail version. Okay.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
This has to be clear in the head of everyone listening. So.
Sure. So you don't know exactly what role they play in the game.
No.
Like villain, just generally.
No. Plot points, I don't know.
Okay. One question a lot of people were asking, do you know of any, so you've talked a lot about villains that that are in the game. Can you confirm any allies of Batman? So do you know of any characters in the game such as, Robin, Batgirl, any characters like that?
I have a name here, and I need to Google this one. See, this is the problem with these leaks, with leaking Batman stuff, is that
you don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan. So I'm like, should I say this? Should I not? Am I going to spoil the hell out of this? So, let me see.
Do.
I can't find it.
So Alex, I'm guessing it's not Robin, because surely you would know that.
No, it's not Robin.
But it gets complicated because different Robins become different aliases. So one Robin becomes Nightwing, one Robin becomes Red Hood, one Robin becomes Red Robin.
I'm
Red Robin. I like their burgers. They're pretty good.
Okay, the real answer that I can give you is maybe, because what I'm reading here is that it's the name that I wasn't sure of, because I'm like, this doesn't sound like a villain. So now on Wiki, I'm partially right. That's all I can say for now.
So you can't say the name.
No, not now.
Now that I know.
I promise I'm gonna release the names that I have in the future. I just released. I just gave you freeze. I mean, be patient.
No, yeah, that's good. That's good. I appreciate that. Okay, in regards to the screenshots, people were wondering. In terms of the maps, you said that the map. People were wondering. Basically, from your description of the map, it's a little bit foggy and darker in terms of aesthetic that we saw in other games. People were wondering, do you think that I feel like you may not know that, are they maybe going for a darker, more mature game in this one? Maybe going for a more hard M?
That I have no way to.
It's hard to tell.
know.
Yeah. In terms of like the map, can you sort of talk about what you saw a little bit, even just vaguely?
I give you some landmarks last time. There's also, I give you one the other day. I tried to be cool saying the word goth, and so there's Goth Corp,
which is basically the company of Mr. Freeze.
Okay.
Yeah.
What can I tell you? I said I'm trying to see if I can add details to what I just said, what I already said, rather than saying something new. That Wayne Industries is in very bad shape. It looks. The Monarch Theater. I'm just going through the screenshots here. Yeah, it's definitely foggy, and to me it looks kind of bleaker, like shit's gone down somewhere here. Obviously, since we have Damien, so there's still I don't know if you were the one saying this or another guy that made a video, but there's still neons. Okay, so it's not like without neon lights.
Oh, neon lights in Gotham. I see.
Yeah, it's because I heard someone saying it's not like there's neons, and no, there are still neons in the map.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the things a lot of people like. Some people were either really into it for Arkham Knight, and other people weren't. They're like, "Why does the city look that way?" It's just. I mean, obviously they made it for a purely visual aesthetic point of view, but like, yeah, I mean. If neon lights are there, I'm fine with that, but like I don't want the whole city drenched in it. But based on the detail of kind of like a darker, foggier, bleaker visual aesthetic, like I'm kind of getting the vibe from you that maybe it's not gonna be overkill this time.
I'm trying to see the questions here.
Yeah, a lot of people, I would say the biggest question is, I'm assuming you don't know what Batman Beyond is, but I guess what a lot of people are wondering.
I Googled it.
You did? Okay, good. What people are wondering is like if this game is related to, like the other Batman games, if they're related to the other game that WB Games Montreal created.
I wish I knew.
The other Batman game. Okay.
Like because everything story, I know nothing about.
I got you.
And it's actually why I'm so afraid to leak some stuff, because I'm like, I'm gonna say, I don't know, there's a texture of a toenail on the ground, and some of you motherfucker nerdy nerds are gonna go, that toenail is the Ra's al Ghul that when he kills is blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm like, okay, fuck it.
People, let's see. Let me go through, because people sent me a lot of questions ahead of time, and I know. Let me just try to find some ones that, aren't gonna, that you can somewhat contribute to, maybe. Let's see. Okay, so that's the question about allied characters. It's kind of tough to tell. How do the graphics look, since he's seen some screenshots, as you mentioned, a little bit darker?
The answer would be kind of shitty because it's all placeholders. So,
what do you mean placeholders?
Placeholders mean that I haven't seen the game. Okay, I don't know if you're familiar with the concept of vertical slice.
No.
A vertical slice is basically. When you see a gameplay trailer at E3 or at PSX, whatever, what they're showing you for a game that's not out yet, it's not the entire game. It's a very small portion. Picture the Arkham City map, okay? The Arkham Knight map. Now take a block of that city. That's all there is. But in that area, they try to put every single mechanic of the game so they can showcase it.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm being clear.
No, that's clear.
It's think back to like Uncharted 4's demo during PSX, a couple few years ago, where Nathan Drake was in this area where, there was lots of, plants he could kind of hide in. It was a little bit of an open area, which was a new part of the mechanic of the game. And he could kind of sneak around the enemies. And there was this,
grappling hook, and they, just a piece that showcases everything.
Right. That was a vertical slice that they showed off for the presentation of the game that day.
And by placeholders, I'm sorry, by placeholders, I mean unfinished assets. Is that clearer?
I don't really know what unfinished assets are, but I get what you're going at, that it's, early stuff.
Like
Not yet polished.
You could even have a 3D model without textures, for example. And it could be placed among other models with textures. And I don't know how to explain this to someone that has never seen something like this.
Well, it's like you might have a building where, like, if it's an important structure, they might take more time to flesh out what the specific look of that landmark is, but like the buildings around it might just be like, like plain, flat, shiny rectangles.
Exactly.
Right. Gotcha. In regards to Black Mask, you talked about how she's a female in this game, and she's blonde.
Yes.
And you said something interesting in your podcast that you might regret. I don't know. But you said something to the effect of, like, it makes sense who she is.
Yes.
And she's sort of like a pretty blonde girl.
Yeah, I saw you running away with this on Twitter the other night.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I'll answer before you ask. Somebody in some comments actually fucking nailed it. That's all I'm gonna say.
But it's not Harley Quinn. It's not.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, how many blondes are there really like that could be applicable here in this Batman universe? I mean, I don't know.
Could be someone that you've never seen. I don't know.
There's a lot. There can be a lot. It's just, that's interesting because usually Black Mask is just the same dude, over and over again. So it's interesting to see that it might be somebody a little bit different under different lies. But you did see one of the comments. Somebody got it right at some point or another in one of my videos.
The other guy, I think. Can I mention it? No, because we talked about this before the podcast. I like his videos. I have to say this. Guys, don't fucking fight over Twitter. It's so fucking silly. Please.
I'm all done.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. Smoke some weed, get laid, do something. Just be fucking happy. Be alive.
But go ahead. Where did you see it?
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was your video or Salvage one. So, but I was scrolling the comments, just skimming, and that one popped up to me because it was actually right.
Gotcha.
He's already investigating.
And by the way, as far as that argumentative stuff goes, I've said to him on 2 or 3 times now that, I wish things played out differently. So, hit me up. Don't be that way.
So, what's up?
Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm pretty much done. I mean, I don't think I can really, you made it clear that you don't want to, go in too far or, anything like that. So I respect that. We talked about
No, but you can ask. I mean, I reserve the right to say I can't answer something, but you can definitely ask. I'm having problems tracking the questions because it keeps fucking scrolling.
Yeah, I know.
That's a good problem to have.
Have you seen Batman?
Yes.
In this game? You have seen Batman?
Yes. I've also seen the Bat cycle.
Really?
I don't know what the name is.
The Bat Bike.
Okay.
In regards to, have you seen, it was a while ago, I don't know if you saw it, my video where I talked about these images that WB Montreal uploaded to their Facebook page. And it's like I tried to grab screenshots from them. Let me see. I'm just trying to wonder because like we saw a picture of Batman what looked like to be in a very stripped down environment.
Okay, wait a second, because for me Mike is frozen and I can't see you. So something's fucked up in my Hangout.
Can you see me?
Now I can. Yeah, now it's all okay. Okay.
All
Good.
Let me try to find an image for you, because what we're speculating is that there was actually some computers that they showed from WB Games Montreal employees, their sort of page, and in the bottom right hand corner it was dated December 2015, which is when they would be working on the game. And there was some map environments and aesthetics that I and a few other subscribers like looked at, and we sort of like tried to, look at the map and that sort of thing and do like some detective work, which you guys know that I like to do at this point. And also looking at the character models, we saw one for Batman, and it looked pretty typical for a Batman design. We were sort of wondering if it's going to be like something ridiculous, like, I don't know, like he's bald and it's like weird and he's got all different colors on, or that sort of thing.
About the baldness, I have no way to know.
Yeah.
About being weird, it looks like Batman to me.
Looks like Batman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cape and everything. Is that helping?
Yeah. No, that helps. That really does. Because
I think what he's getting at.
About that.
I think what he's getting at is, were there any like distinguishable features that separates this look of Batman from the others?
I'm sure if he saw it, he would be, oh, that's definitely taken from this and this series of comics and blah, blah, blah. But to me, it's Batman. I'm sorry for the ignorance, guys.
Oh, that's good. Let's see if anybody talk about Spider-Man PS4. Guys,
I mean, we don't have details about Spider-Man PS4.
Yeah, we can talk about it, but I mean,
absolutely. Like I see. I wonder if the Batwing or Batplane will be pilotable or usable. I mean, as far as we know, unless Gabe knows something that he hasn't talked about yet, I don't even know if those are going to be in the game. The only thing that we've really heard is that the Bat Cycle is going to be in there, and we really don't even know if like his car is going to be in it yet. Just because that's not part of what we had originally reported, and then that's how the telephone game works. A whole bunch of websites ran with that and said there's not going to be the Batmobile in the game, and look, that's not what we said. We just said we don't know about it.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about additional vehicles in the game, or if the car is going to be in it, or?
Yeah.
He can't say. Fair enough.
No, as I said, I'm just going to repeat it here. Whatever I share is because I have multiple sources. So let's say the higher powers, if they get upset, they have no fucking idea who told me what. So nobody gets in trouble. Nobody gets hurt. And so maybe I know some of that, but I just fucking can't.
Somebody said, when do you think we could expect a trailer? I'm just going to answer that now and say we don't know. The reason being is that we don't know specifically when development started on this game. We were kind of talking about this just a tiny bit before the show, but just theoretically talking about timelines, I think it was before the show, at least anyway. I don't think we talked about this live. I don't know either, but I'll repeat it now since there are people here in the chat. But Slickmoff has been saying, in his videos, like, I don't know what this team could have been doing. It's been 3 years and the last game came out, and what's going on? And it's like, well, the other rumor, which we heard was, being designed, the Suicide Squad game. I think
we talked about it here, like live.
Oh, did we?
A little bit.
Yeah.
It's just we don't know how, like, the other source on the internet that seemed to line up with the stuff that we were reporting accurately was they said the game was greenlit mid 2015. So I mean, at that point, I would think there was still at that point a lot more development in the pipeline that had to happen before this game is going to come out. So assuming the Suicide Squad stuff that guy reported was accurate, if that game is slated for 2017, I realistically probably wouldn't expect even a reveal for this game until probably at least the end of 2017. I'm just talking out of my ass. This is all theoretics, but I wouldn't expect to see anything for a while.
I'm in the same boat. I don't think it'll be too far off, but yeah.
But not like this year.
Like, I actually answered this very question, I think yesterday on Twitter. A guy messaged me, and I was like, hey, this is all guesswork on my part about the release of the trailer or of the game. So
This person in the chat said, I heard about the Bat Bike, but I think it'd be way cool if there was a Bat Wing, Bat Plane in the unannounced game or future Batman games. And I think those would be interesting things to include in a Bat game. However, we've also got to understand that, like, as big as Arkham Knight was, like, that city does end up feeling smaller once you get into a car and you're able to speed around in that city. And if you had access to a plane, like, it would almost be kind of fruitless unless they made a more linear style game where maybe you had to go between like different smaller environments with the Bat Plane. I really don't think just for an open world, just period, one open world that they'd be creating, if that's indeed what it is, which I would assume it is, that would be viable. But one thing that we haven't talked about a lot since we first initially revealed it was I am actually more interested to see what the whole Bat Cave upgrade system is going to be like.
Oh, yeah. That was like a long time ago. You all talked about that.
Yeah, nobody talks about it, but I think that's a pretty important component to the game. I think that's pretty sweet.
Yeah. The funny thing about this whole situation is that, as I said before, I'm not a huge comic book fan. I enjoy the Batman games, but it's not like I've ever waited for one or just like, With this thing, I've met Kobe that is super fucking passionate, and it kind of transmitted it to me. So now I'm hyped for this game as well. So I'm waiting for this game, and it's good. It's nice. It's a good feeling.
Hey, and you're Googling stuff and you're learning more about it and that sort of thing. So
listen to this guy. He's like, yes, he's going to buy comic books. Yes.
If you had any idea the amount of wiki pages that I read every time that I want to like release some information, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. So yeah, I'm learning a lot. Like I'll be honest, I think I've read the last comic book. Probably it could have been like 92 or 93. So
1992.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh God, I'm old.
No.
Does my little Reed Richards show on the webcam?
Mm-mm.
You got a hot date afterwards or something, Gabe?
No.
Okay. I do have. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay,
we're in your house right now.
All right. So one of the things that you did mention in the podcast last time is that you knew what we knew about the Suicide Squad game, and that is that it exists.
Yeah.
And well, the thing about that is that actually a long time ago, there was like actual images that were leaked for it, whether they were legitimate or not. That's something to question. That a Superman game was in development at WB Games Montreal. Do you know the validity? Like, can you say that they are developing a Batman game? We know obviously, and a Suicide Squad game. You can say that
they're developing it right now.
A Batman game and a Suicide Squad game.
The Suicide Squad game, I literally have no info since months. So as far as I know, yes, but it could be outdated as fuck, my information. So I thought you were going to ask me about the Superman one.
Okay, I'll ask you about that. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Superman? No.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, I thought you were asking me if it was true that they were developing something in the Superman.
Well, but if you're saying that the Suicide Squad game is in development and the Batman one we obviously know is, then that's the two. They're making two DC games. We've known that for years now, actually. So that's pretty much the two. So I mean, that means the Superman game, have you heard anything about it? Like, or was that ever in early development and they scrapped it, or what?
It's been a long time since I heard rumors on the Superman game, but I remember when that like screenshot from like the character select or whatever was going on. Wasn't that rumored to possibly be what Rocksteady was going to move on to next?
If that's a question for me, I could tackle that. Rocksteady has always said that their dream game is a Superman game. And they recently said in an interview after Arkham VR, which was pretty much a pointless cash grab, let's just be honest, they wanted to make their dream game. And their dream game, as they've said in the past, appears to be Superman. It's a challenging game to make, obviously. It's one that's never been done correctly before, to be truthful, objectively speaking.
Oh, what are you talking about? Haven't you played
Superman 64 was the shit.
Okay. Recently.
No, we're totally kidding, man.
That was literally one of the worst games of all time.
That was I've never played that game, but I've seen gameplay for it, so I know.
You know what? The Angry Video Game Nerd is a very good video on that. You should check that one.
The best Superman game is an old arcade game, and this is just speaks to the Superman games I've been. But there was an old arcade game where you could play 2 players, and I think the second Superman was dressed in red. That was not too bad.
To be fair, though, like back then, like everything was an arcade game, and like they were all the same. They, those.
No, arcade. I mean a coin op, like you actually in the actual arcades.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like there was an X-Men game. It's like it's easy to throw characters into that context of battle where you're just running up to kicking and punching enemies, and then if you're at a distance, maybe mashing 2 buttons together to like get his laser beam eyes to shoot out or something, and he's got limited usage of it or something. But I mean, like but as far as like actually making a Superman game on a console for the PC in today's market, and trying to capitalize on like what Batman did with the Arkham games, like how do you do that with a character that is seemingly so invincible unless you kind of go Saints Row 4 on the entire thing? And it's craziness after craziness after craziness, and I'm not sure that would play too well. Like I think the last time a game like really got that comic booky aspect to it, like where things were just kind of crazy, that was actually fun, was probably Spider-Man 2, which was supposed to be an adaptation from the movie.
Amazing game.
Yeah, you played that from the original Xbox and PS2, I think
PS2,
it was.
Yeah.
That game was so much fun.
Yeah.
I love that game. And even though like 5% of it was actually the story from the movie, that game was awesome. But
I even like the one that came out after that, in the same vein, but it was Ultimate Spider-Man. It wasn't as good, but I liked it though.
So
anyway,
I mean, maybe that's what
talking
Rocksteady's
Superman.
doing.
Yeah, Superman.
Question for you, Kobe. Do you think it's possible to make a good Superman game?
He's going to say yes.
It is possible. Yeah, Mike knows me too much. It is possible to make a good Superman game where Superman is depowered from the comic books.
Oh.
Because in the comic books, Superman can fly around the Earth in about 3 seconds in reverse time. That's we've seen in the movies. Rarely happens in the comic books. Although I have read comics where that happens. Superman can fly instantly into space and come back down. It's impossible to make a game where the entire world is open world. Like literally when we talk about open world, like the world. Because Superman can fly into space. He can, you know what I mean? So like, are we going to be Superman and you fly, and then eventually you hit an invisible wall because you've hit the end of the world? That doesn't feel like Superman in many ways. Wouldn't you agree? So
I would agree, but the thing is, like, hasn't that particular story thread been utilized way too many times at this point? Like, not just for Superman, but for like almost any superhero that's got superpowers. Like, oh wow, they lost their powers. They're weaker now. Oh, what are they gonna do? Like, it's Peter Parker when he started feeling sad for himself in the Spider-Man movies, and then he couldn't shoot his web anymore, and it's like Tony Stark when he doesn't have his Iron Man suit or whatever. It's like the same thing happens with Superman. It's like Superman movie, well, how is he gonna go up against a human being? I know, god damn it, pull out the kryptonite again. Like, it's all they got.
For the record, when I say depowered, I don't mean like he's physically weakened, but just like more so you don't fully portray his power set, like the maximum of what he can do.
But if you were Superman, why wouldn't you? I'd just be like, bam, shit's done.
Okay, but how do you create people that can actually harm Superman? Who is he going to fight against?
That was going to be my next question.
Well, you have to get Jesse Eisenberg to make fucking Doomsday.
Come on.
We need Granny's peach tea. That's how
Yeah.
Yes, there you go.
I wanted to tie that with the fact that I always found, and again, some of your viewers are gonna fucking hate me. I always found Superman to be extremely boring as a superhero.
You'd be surprised that a lot of DC fans agree with that, by the way. But yeah, continue.
So I am officially an honorary member of the comic book nerds now.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Sure.
But really, no. Really, no.
I always felt like it's a problem, to be honest, that is in many American comics. That's why I kind of always leaned towards mangas when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. The fact that I don't feel the stakes in many comic books. Like, I know they're always going to be fine. I know they're always going to be alive. If they're not alive, there's going to be a fucking reboot.
But listen, the thing with Superman is that's a modern contextualization of the character. And one thing that a lot of people don't take, I can't believe I'm saying this. I mean, I'm not like really in the comic books, but I know this much about it. Like, historically speaking, I mean, like, you got to think back to when Superman first appeared in the modern conscious.
When he didn't even jump, he didn't even fly. I mean, and he used to jump over buildings like Hulk. No, I'm not kidding.
No,
he didn't fly, right, Kobe?
Well, I mean, in the Silver Age, he's way more powerful than he is now. Like, he could use mind control and stuff like that. So, I mean, I think Mike, I think this is where you're going. Like, it's, as times changes, his power set and like what he can and can't do changes.
No, not even in universe.
Okay.
I mean in the in the world's viewpoint, like reading this as a comic or watching the old TV shows or seeing the old serials in the theaters, even before television. This character was created at a time when, like in America, for example, and other parts of the world, like crime was a thing that was running rampant. And, you had, Gabe's people running over here with the organized crime and everything like that.
Hey, I'm Italian too.
You have time to talk.
But yeah, I mean, there was the Depression, there was, organized crime and everything like that. There was war, as we progressed through those earlier decades when Superman was created and became a prevalent character in film and television and comics and everything. He was meant to embody hope in all those dark times. It's like there's somebody, you have an angel watching over you. No matter how bad you think things get, there's somebody there that's going to help and save the day. And that's what Superman is meant to contextualize, but it's really hard to have that character mean something and put it in the context of a really successful film that's a good quality film, or into a successful video game that's a quality video game in 2016 when people are voting Donald Trump in the office.
Oh, come on.
Sorry, I'm just saying, like, where's hope, man? Where's hope? Make America great again. Vote Superman.
By the way, we just a little parenthesis. We had to save our constitution here in Italy yesterday with the vote, and we fucking did. Yes.
See, this country knows how to handle their business. They know what they're doing. They know how to vote.
Yep.
Why can't we do that?
Your constitution was at risk?
Yeah. It was a very tricky situation because it wasn't a clear-cut vote. It's very long. I don't want to bore anyone, but we did the right thing. I
like politics, so everybody else might get bored, but
we can talk about it offline later.
Yeah. So anyway, as we were talking about actually with the Superman game at WB Montreal, did you know anything about that? Like maybe it was they were considering it or anything like that, or is that totally just like you don't know anything about that left field?
No, I definitely heard about it. But I don't know if they stopped or if they kept working on something. But it was real when the rumors were coming out. It was something that was, being tested at least.
But that's the thing, the next step is, does it get greenlit?
Yeah.
Because
and then I wonder if the game is in development at WB Montreal and they don't carry on with the game because they're making Batman and Suicide Squad, if they pass on what they had began, even just basic, startup points to Rocksteady, now that they're done and they're getting on their next project, if they do know that that's going to be Superman, and WB Montreal basically did a lot of the dirty work at the beginning for them potentially. Because according to the leaks, the Suicide Squad game, Rocksteady helped them on. That's what the NeoGAF user said, if you recall, Mike.
That sounds about right.
Is that Rocksteady helped on the Suicide Squad WB Montreal game.
But by how much? Does that mean that they just lent them the engine that they use?
That's true, because technically Rocksteady helped on the Origins too.
You know, it's technically like, you know, when you see it, it's like, oh, this film was produced by Steven Spielberg. Like, well, what does that mean? He ordered lunch for the crew one day? Like, I mean, literally, when you're in entertainment,
I'm gonna go pee 1 second.
Okay, produced by, or, you know, they help them out. Like, it could mean something so little. It's really hard to kind of break down,
right,
and actually make any sort of intelligent discussion around.
Mm-hmm.
So Gabe has to go pee. So, I mean, I think we said everything about Batman that we could have said, and obviously we don't know much. Spider-Man 2, though, or not Spider-Man 2, the new Spider-Man game that's coming out for PS4.
Yeah.
I like Insomniac Games. I like their output. I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with that game.
What did you think of Sunset Overdrive? Did you play that?
I didn't play enough of it, just because there were a lot of games that came out, but I really enjoyed it. Like, I don't think it got. The thing that I find interesting about that game is that I just think it got crapped on because it came out on the Xbox One. You know, there were a lot of people that were kind of poo-pooing it, partially probably because of its overly cartoony visual style and the fact that it was on Xbox and not PlayStation. But it's a fun game.
Yeah, that was really weird, wasn't it? Like, if there's any studio that you think isn't going to make an Xbox exclusive, it had to be. I mean, these are the Ratchet and Clank guys. You know,
I mean, if you think that's weird. Scores, I mean, people were positively, you know, rating that game. You know, a lot of the people who actually played that game have very positive things to say about it. It's just, for some reason, though, that game came out and it's just like, for some reason, it didn't leave a mark.
Back. And of course, Ratchet and Clank, you enjoy those, and, you know, big fan of those, I assume.
I'm so happy. I just picked up the PS4 Ratchet and Clank during a Black Friday sale for $10. Mm-hmm. I can't wait to play that.
Wow. Yeah, I want to play that game too. I mean, that was like, if there's a game series I grew up on, that's it. Like Ratchet and Clank. I just didn't mean to flick you off. I just did that on accident. Ratchet, yeah, definitely Ratchet and Clank. I mean, I love that game series growing up. PS2. All the Ratchet and Clank games, even the bad ones. And as the series started to go on, they got bad, like the 4th and the 5th one, into the arcadey crap that they did with Ratchet and Clank. But you know, like 2 and 3 going commando, like, oh, those games are so good.
Also, useless knowledge. Ratchet and Clank on PS3 are some of the few games that run on actual 60 FPS on PS3.
They run it solid 60 frames. Like,
I don't know if they're solid, but they're 60 frames.
Okay. Yeah, you know, that's one thing that people don't like realize. Like with this generation, the battle going back and forth being so about, you know, frames per second. That's what it's been boiling down to. And sometimes it's been about resolution too, between the Xbox and the PS4. There were games on the Xbox 360, even at launch, that were running at 60 frames per second. I think Call of Duty may have been one of them.
There were games on the older consoles running at 60 FPS.
Yeah, that's true too. That is
almost
true.
every single fighter.
Yeah, I don't know any off the top of my head, but yeah, I've heard that too. Yeah.
So guys, I don't want to be a party crusher, but it's 5 a.m. here, and I would have been awake anyway because I was working when I called Mike before. So yeah, it's 5 a.m. So,
all right, I'll just say really quick, I'm excited for Ni no Kuni 2.
Okay.
I'm really excited for Knack 2. Really? I liked Knack. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I really, really like Knack.
Okay.
I love that you like it.
It's got a lot of flaws, yes, but it is fun to play in a way that many games that are released currently nowadays are not, and it's charming.
Yeah.
And I'm not using charming in a way to like hide certain things about that game. Like every single stage is built the same exact way. Oh, hey, you're big Knack. You lose your powers. There's that whole lose your power argument again. And then you turn into small Knack and then you have to beat bad guys along the way and collect pieces until you're Big Knack again. And then next thing you know, next stage, you'll lose all your blocks again, and same thing over and over. But it was a fun game.
I'm curious, Kobe, what are your favorite games besides, like, leaving aside comic book games?
Besides Batman games, those are my favorite games. The Batman Arkham games are my favorite. But those aside,
like, do you play fighting games? Do you play RPGs? Do you play Japanese games? I don't know. I
play fighting games. I play Injustice, which is based on DC heroes. I play Marvel.
You walked into that Capcom.
One, Gabe. Okay, no. In terms of I don't play like MKX or anything like that. I do. One of the game series I do consistently play. I play Call of Duty.
Delirious Dev in the chat just called it. He knew you were going to say Call of Duty, by the way.
Well, he's probably a subscriber, right? Yeah, probably. Yeah, he knows me. Let's see, what games do I play Rise of the Tomb Raider games. I find are very good.
Those new Tomb Raider games are so good, especially the last one. Oh my god.
I like a lot of the. Some of the new FPSs I don't like. I'm not interested in Battlefield or Battlefront, any of that crap. I do like Overwatch. I think Overwatch is a phenomenal game, and it's really, really fun. I enjoy playing competitive on that, just on my PS4. It's not, I don't have my keyboard or sweating any shit like that, but I do enjoy that game. Let's see. I've got a lot of games, recently. I've really tried to like branch out and play more games. Maybe I'm not doing as good of a job as I could do, but like the only thing I really stay away from is really open world like RPGs in terms of like I've never gotten into Fallout or Skyrim, Shadow of Mordor. Those are like that's the only genre of games I've never gotten into. To answer your question, pretty much anything else is fair game.
I think you'd like Shadow of Mordor though. Because Mike was right. Like, you could basically reskin that game with a Batman something, and you would feel at home as far as the controls and stuff like that.
Well, I can't find anything actually legit on the internet like to track this down. I've tried before, but like I heard a rumor at some point that game actually started in development with the intent of being a Batman game. I don't know if that's true though.
Mordor?
Yeah.
That's interesting. It is a WB game, so who knows?
Right, I'm sure they're sharing those assets like crazy.
Yeah, I definitely remember hearing that rumor story as well.
But I think that was on a private forum.
Yeah, you could be right, man. Yeah, it could have been that forum. Yeah. I was reading the comments, the messages. First of all, this is so fun that there's people actually interacting with us.
Yeah,
live.
Red Hood 420, he's saying in the chat that rumor is false, and it very well could be. I'm not going to pretend like it's the truth or anything because that's something I don't know about.
I just remember hearing that. But there's Mike Richards that it's so not happy because he doesn't believe us. He doesn't believe the rumors, and I'm sorry.
Oh, he doesn't believe the Batman games.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I don't know what like. What can
listen, Mike Richards. Look, it's you could believe, you can not believe, man. But we said in the beginning of the podcast, my source here, this has been his line of work for 19 years. Like he just said we are not mentioning him, and I'm mentioning him right now. So, well, okay. Let me look back and see what he said. They could just flash the screen with the screenshots on it. See, the thing is that assuming that there even were any screenshots that there were to show, like, I mean, the thing is what Gabe was talking about before is that, you got to have respect for the people who are working on the game. Like you can't. One of the things that I mentioned on the podcast that that Slick Moth had posted on the thing is that like it's nice to leak things. It's nice to talk about things. It's nice to get some recognition, but at the same time, like you want to make sure you're not putting anybody's job in jeopardy.
And it's not even people that I don't know or whatever. It's fucking friends for me, that are working in this industry and that are working on games. So,
but the only thing that we can really say is that at this point, like in May, it's certainly understandable for somebody to come out of left field and say, hey, there's going to be a Damian Batman game and say that's stupid. Why would they even put that character in there? Because from what I've read on the internet, there's fans out there who do not like this character, and they're like, why would they even do that? It'd be suicide. But the thing is it's already been said. It's just there's been another source that's come out, has confirmed what we had reported. They've added to it. We've confirmed what they've added to it for the most part. And we've provided additional details. There's been screenshots from, computers that have been out there now from WB Montreal that Slickmoth has been reporting on. Like, the evidence has amounted to a point where like you at least have to believe that this game is happening. There's a Batman game.
It doesn't. I'm reading the chat. It doesn't. Like, okay. I understand your point. Mike Richards. But the thing is, I don't feel like I have to verify myself. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man. I have no horse in this race. Like, I have nothing to gain by
right. He's not a Batman fan, like as he said earlier, like for him to even report on some of these characters, like he has to research who they are first, because he just doesn't know. Like, and for the most part, I don't know either. Like, I don't really follow the Batman universe. Like the other day when they were talking about what were the characters' names? There was like Flamingo, was it White Swan or something like that?
White Rabbit, the DD twins.
White Rabbit. I didn't know who they were. I don't know who the DD twins are.
They're the grandchildren of Harley Quinn, actually.
I don't even know what Katana. I don't know who that is.
Have you seen the movie Suicide Squad? That's her most popular probably iteration in there.
No, I'll probably check it out after.
So wait, the DD twins are different from the Tweedle twins.
The DD twins, no, no, not Tweedledee and Tweedledum, no.
Okay.
That was my mistake. I misunderstood. The DD twins are Batman Beyond villains, unless you have misinterpreted what you have. If that's what you were intending, but Tweedledee and Tweedledum are actually, we see them in Vertigo Comics, which is a subsidiary of DC Comics, but they're not Batman villains. The DD twins are Batman.
So it would be weird if they were in this game. The
Correct.
Tweedle one.
Correct.
Very
Tweedledee
weird.
and Tweedledum. That's like fables. That's like, children's lore stories, like stuff like that. Tweedledee and Tweedledum,
I don't, man. I'm
really?
Italian. What the fuck do I know about that?
Okay, yeah, this is all American shit. That's true. Okay. The TD, the twins, they are Batman Beyond villains. So they are the grandchildren, and they might have changed some things, or that's why raised some concerns about the continuity and how it relates to the Arkhamverse, because it seems unreasonable that 10 years down the line Harley Quinn would have grandchildren. But it's Harley Quinn's grandchildren, and they're twins, obviously. And they're gymnasts, just like Harley Quinn was. You guys know who Harley Quinn is, I'm sure, because she's really popular and
hot.
And hot. Margot Robbie's insanely hot. That's true.
Oh, man.
So, yes. That's, pretty much what I'll say about that.
I mean, so, like, really, like, when you break it down, like, the stuff that we've been reporting since the beginning, like, would have been the stupidest shit in the world to make up from, like, trying to get attention from Batman fans, right? Like, oh, it's Damian this time. Like, when we reported that, like, the reaction was instantaneously like, why would they not use Bruce Wayne? Isn't that stupid? Like, there's a lot of people out there that don't even like that character, and the same thing with this other stuff. It's like, as Gabe just said, if they're Batman, the DD twins, you said they were Batman Beyond villains.
Yeah.
Okay, so to possibly incorporate them into a game that may or may not be an Arkhamverse game still, like, it would be kind of stupid to put them in there, right? Like, and as Gabe said, like, he doesn't have a race, a horse in this race, and like to just kind of pull out some of these really oddball characters that seemingly don't make sense.
Yeah. I think that's like a concern that I've seen some people have. People are like wondering, Gabe, since like you are not specifically asking for the information because you're not really like a Batman fan, why are you getting like this? Why are you getting this info and like these sources?
As I said, I've been doing this for
journalist.
19 years. Yeah, I have.
Yeah, but you're not reporting it for your journalist's sake, are you?
No, but in 19 years, you make so many friends in the industry, like people that actually work on games, be it designers, be it composers, be it story writers.
Right.
And, games are not. People have this weird idea of games being made in this big office, and there's all these people that work on this game and only this game. And it's not how it fucking works. There are many pieces of games, many parts, sorry, not pieces, that get, is outsourced the word?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike, help me. Okay. So then they come together and then they work all together. But there's different studios everywhere that work on multiple games that are the unsung heroes of the gaming industry. And I know a bunch of people, both in the big ones, in the small ones, and we're just friends and we talk and we, like friends do. I don't know how to explain it better than this.
And also one thing to point out too is that also he's working for a print publication, where I'm just working on a website where I have the freedom to do whatever I want on that website. And in Gabe's profession, it's not always the case. Like, okay, he might have more clout than other writers do, but like generally speaking, like you could just be given an assignment. You don't get to just run into your editor and be like, oh, I've got a rumor that I want to report. They're like, oh yeah, take 3 pages of the magazine for that. Fuck advertising space, like. It doesn't work that way. But like for me, like he likes what I do on the website, and he likes what I stand for, which is I'm against, generally speaking, I don't like the industry and their business practices with how they're manipulating everybody and doing this slow roll on the DLC and the microtransactions and all that shit, because they're just kind of like making people get used to it so that it becomes the norm. And we're here. I've been talking about it for years, and like we're here. It's here. It's the norm now, and people let it get to this point. And I talk about consumer stuff on the website. So like when something like this comes along, and if it can help me out, he helps me out. Like, I mean, that's simply put, that's how it is.
And your website has no ads, so there's no money to be gained by clicks. I just keep answering to Mike because, of course,
right. I don't have a horse in this race
one
either.
asshole.
I'm not making money like off of any of the work that I do, and it's why I don't put up content like every single day. It's because I do it in my spare time when I can. I enjoy doing the podcast. I enjoy making
Mike,
videos.
Because I really want to answer to this kid. So
sure.
He asks, how do you know Wayne Enterprises is in bad condition? Do you physically see the building, or is that info that someone told you? So, okay, this is a question I can answer. I see the building. Okay, I physically saw the building. I hope that's enough. Foggy and bleak, he says, every detail he spouted was just generalization, foggy and bleak. Now, I played Batman games. The fact that I mentioned that it's bleak, that it seems pretty bleak to me, should already be an answer in itself. In my eyes, it's bleaker than the other ones. Now, they of course are gonna fuck me up and just brighten everything. And when it releases, I'm gonna be wrong. But what I saw is it was enough for me to notice. Okay,
that's what I always wondered about, like these leaks and reporting them, because like very much so, if these don't. Let's say that this doesn't come true, like people are going to be even more mad at me than they are at you, because I'm the one that's like putting it all on YouTube and everything like that. And people have found out about this game because I put it on YouTube. That's how some people have been introduced to it. Think about it. I've always wondered, like, okay, so they just leaked Flamingo is going to be in the game. Well, we'll get them and we'll just take her out or him out. Sorry.
Flamingo. Well, video game fans specifically don't seem to stop and slow down and think about is what development of a video game means.
Yeah.
And just to and I don't make video games, but it's just common sense. Like if you wanted to compare it to the film industry, for example, like how many times does a film get completed and then all of a sudden, like, the director takes his film reel to the studio and says, hey, here's the film. And they say, geez, take a look at Star Wars Rogue One, for example. They look at what they have and they say, you know what? It doesn't feel Star Warsy enough to us, and I understand that you're trying to do something a little different, but we want some changes made. Why don't you go ahead and you do some reshoots? So like pitch some ideas of what you could do to change the film and get it shot, and then ultimately the studio intervenes, and the product changes. Or there might be a film that's like 3.5 hours long, and ultimately a director might say, you know what, this character arc doesn't work in the final product. We're just going to cut it from the film entirely because we can do that. And then next thing you know, you have a director's cut DVD that comes out. It's things shift in production and development in any industry along the way. It happens in music, it happens in television, it happens in film, it happens in video games.
I have 2 examples that are perfect. One that everyone knows, Borderlands. The first time I've seen Borderlands that was shown to me, the very first time, I want to say that it was behind closed doors, but I'm not sure because it was quite a while ago. It was such a different game from the final product that you wouldn't believe it. But even more than that, I remember probably 10 years ago or 12 years ago, I don't even remember, when the first time that I saw Okami, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. It's the game about the wolf. You have to paint. I don't know. It was on PS2. It was a big game. Anyway, that game, I hope there's footage of the original version, like the very first version of the game. You wouldn't believe how much it changed in the final version. So, yeah.
Think about Final Fantasy X, which has spent 10 years in development and started as Final Fantasy 13 Versus or Versus 13.
Final Fantasy 15, you mean?
That's what I mean. But it started as Versus 13 or whatever. Yeah. 10 years of development, like that is not the game that they showed off in 2006 at all.
Because, okay, I keep answering to this guy. Oh God! So
you should just have him on the podcast. Just invite him on.
Yeah, I mean, there's another guy that says, "Why didn't you post these leaks on NeoGAF?" I don't have a NeoGAF account.
Oh, but yeah, I meant to answer that. I actually had a NeoGAF account at one point. However, back when the social justice warrior movement had just started, Zoe Quinn was the one that was in the hot seat for a while because she had the whole slept with 5 guys things to get favorable reviews for her indie games and all that other stuff, and cheated on her boyfriend with people in the industry. NeoGAF is notorious for banning people for pretty much no reason at all, and I made a comment in a thread one day where I was supporting her, but like with the caveat that I said at the beginning. I don't really believe her entire story. I think that she's probably guilty of the things that she's being accused of. However, the amount of, like death threats and, the amount of harassment she's receiving online, nobody in the world deserves that kind of harassment. And based on that comment, I got banned. So I haven't been welcome on GAF since. Otherwise, I would have been posting about it there. But yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else to say? Really? I mean, I think
I don't know. I'll keep reading it, and I keep like even this one. How do you know your source? Didn't just read a Grant Morrison? I guess you met Grant Morrison. I don't know.
Yeah.
Batman volume and just name the villains from the
Basically
volume.
What Taylor is asking is, how do you know that he isn't lying to you? Your source is not making stuff up to you.
I know it's hard to understand that I have friends, like I don't know, do you have buddies that you see, like that you have a friendship with? I don't know. I mean, this is just what happens is how like, I don't know, an actor is very, very probably gonna end up marrying an actress because they're always around each other and whatnot. Like, to us, that's a superstar. That's the woman of our dreams. To him, it's someone that he works with every day. And I feel like there's this disconnect between my relationship with my friends that work in the industry and people that just play video games. I can get that it could be hard to understand, but it's such a natural thing for me that it's hard to answer these questions. Like, yeah, it is a friend of mine working on the game.
The last thing I think we'll even attempt to address, if you even want to respond to it, you don't have to, obviously. Mike Richards' last comment in the chat.
My next question is, why should look?
Okay, I'll read it just so the people
Yeah.
watching can see. My next question then is, why not show it to Slick? You trust him enough to bring him onto the podcast, talk about the game that you're leaking, but he's never seen it. This doesn't add up.
I tell you what, he didn't even ever ask, because he knows better than to ask.
Mhm.
Okay, so I don't know. I mean, I don't understand why I have to prove myself for something that I have absolutely no gain. It's something that is making me joyful, as I said before, because I feel the passion that Kobe transmitted. I don't have a fucking website. I work on print in Italy. Okay, so I'm from a completely different world. I don't even bicker on Twitter. So whatever.
I think perhaps the best way to leave it is simply this. This is to be expected. When you're talking about leaking a game, there's going to be skepticism out there, and I'm not going to sit here or on Twitter or anywhere and say to anyone, don't be skeptical. I've said multiple times, even just within the last week, skepticism is a healthy attitude to have. The reason why I am writing on my website the things that I write about is that I have a very large skepticism about how things are working in the industry. That's what leads me to question things, and then to sort of dig into things, and then write opinion pieces about them, or make opinion videos, or sit here and talk about them in the podcast. You know, you don't have to believe it. There's going to be people out there who don't believe it, that they're going to remain skeptical until this thing comes out. But all I can say is we'll be playing this game alongside you on day one when it comes out. You know, and when it comes out, enjoy it. I mean, it sounds like a cool game. I hope it is a cool game. The other Batman games so far have been solid. I hope WB Montreal, you know, I hope I hope they carry the flame. That's it. So, I mean, my hat's off to you for being skeptical and everything, but like, we are not the only sources for this information at this point. There's multiple points of information out there. It's just the information that this game is.
Wait. Are you fucking kidding me? Seriously? Look, I have less than 200 tweets on my Twitter account. If you just go back last E3, I leaked The Last Guardian. Okay.
Wait, what are you responding to?
No, a guy that says, why are you leaking? People don't believe you because you haven't leaked any other games. No, the fact is I don't have any followers. Many times actually, I leaked Horizon. Sometimes I just make a tweet that might seem stupid, and I'm just saying something for the sake of it without even trying to promote it or anything. Some people won't believe it, some people will believe it. Okay. Corroborating a story without seeing any of the evidence is dumb. It's okay, man. Dude, what do you want me to do? Seriously, Mike Richards, what do you want me to do?
Really, what he wants is...
I think he wants me to see it so that I can like say that I saw it.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Then
I'd be okay with that. Just saying.
Yeah, I know that
I'd be all right with that.
But the thing is like, as Gabe was saying, if you go to a friend's house and they're like, oh man, hey, listen, check out what I've been working on, right? And they show you something, and maybe, you know, it's like, okay, cool. Like this is really cool. This is awesome. Thanks. And it's like afterwards, you know, if there's somebody else, even somebody that like, you know, you're friendly with, who's like, oh, like really? Like that's cool. You think maybe you can show me the same thing? It's like, well, I can't because I've promised this person confidentially, you know, confidentiality and everything. I don't want to break their trust. You know, it's like you can't, this is just common sense. That's the thing. That's the thing. The whole leaker game that's been going on for years. I've seen it happen multiple times on Twitter, on NeoGAF, and wherever. And you know, I'm going to bring up a person that you know that I talked to, that people know. He was Famous Mortimer on Twitter, and you know, him and other people that were, you know, revealing things and we're leaking things. The community love these fucking people when they're dropping leaks. And then, but then all of a sudden, like the tables start to turn. you know, eventually after a while, that skepticism grows larger and larger and larger, and then, you know, that healthy skepticism turns into a witch hunt, and the witch hunt turns into crucifixion, right? A crucifixion rather. And then all of a sudden these figures are taken down. They're taken down and they're removed from the conversation and they're gone. There are names, you know, there used to be some other, I wish I could remember his name. There was one guy who he was leaking stuff and he misreported information one day on Twitter, and like he had a healthy following and people listened to what he said and he had good tips and he had good leaks, and then he misreported something that allegedly was going to happen behind closed doors one day with Naughty Dog or something, I think, and it was over. It was over for him. Yeah. Like, you know, like sometimes
you're talking about his following. Like,
you know who I'm talking about?
No.
Okay.
Should I? Let me see your camera. Should I?
He used to be on that same forum. He was like a Indian-looking fellow that wore glasses.
Okay. I got it. But the point is, there's this guy Red Hood that is making basically a list of stuff that this Verendus, that I don't know who he is. I'm sorry. He leaks. Apparently, is a super leaker. Now, I don't know what Verendus's job is, but you got to understand that what my job is, and I'm not gonna put friends and stuff at risk. Like, I'm not a leaker, okay? That's not my fucking job. I report on the gaming industry. I report on stock acquisitions, on the market, on the behind the scenes. I rarely write reviews. So he's a Sony insider. I don't even know what the fucking word insider means. Like, what's an insider exactly?
He's talking about Caboose.
No, he was talking. I think.
No, he's talking about something else. One question I do have for like Gabe: do your sources that are reporting what you know about the Batman game, do they know that you do this? That you
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because they know exactly the, let's call it, strategy that I employ, which is the one of just releasing stuff that I have many of them telling me or showing me, you know.
Do you ever worry that they'll like not want to give you information because you?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
No, we're good friends.
I understand.
And also because, you know, they know, as he just said, you know, what he's doing. You know, he doesn't do anything off the fly, you know.
No, and even Warner Brothers, if they ever get worried, just be calm. I'm not gonna, you know, fuck it up.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to like acquire like a script for the game and like drop it on the internet. Like we're not the kind of people that like want to be like, "Ooh, look, here's the code for the finished, you know, the final form of the game right before it's about to go to disc distribution," you know, like, or disc creation for distribution when it goes gold. Like we're not, you know, we're not that kind of crazy people. Like we just, this game is happening. Batman, the franchise, is a big franchise. It's a story, you know. It's a good, interesting story to follow along with. Like, I think people like to know that a new Batman game is being created and what it's going to be about. Like the fact that you have a short list of some of the villains that are going to be in the game, method of transportation, the fact that there may be day and night cycles, you know, like, and that the city isn't going to be evacuated and everything. Like those are all interesting details. We don't need to know everything about the game, nor do we need to report it if we knew.
Yeah.
You know, it's a matter of, it's a mutual benefit. Like, yes, it gets me attention, it gets me clicks on the website, but at the same time, you get information that's interesting that you want to know. That's, you know, time. The thing is, time is going to tell. Like, you can be as skeptical as you want for as long as you want. The game's going to come out eventually. At that point, my credibility will be cemented a little further. I've leaked other stuff in the past on Reddit. Small things, like I leaked the fact that, you know, the Rare collection was actually going to include like that many games and everything quietly on Reddit. It was a thing on the Xbox One subreddit because I
remember mods having to apologize to you on Reddit.
Yeah, they had to apologize to me because they took the thing down and they're like, well, we don't like, you know, rumors, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, look, I've got a credible source and everything, and they told me so and so. And then the very next day was the event. and they put the thread back up, and people in the thread were calling for the mods to apologize to me and everything. I mean, it was a nice little win, but like, I'm not known. So like nobody really knows that I leaked that, that I knew that game was going to be dropping. I leaked some details of some things that was going on behind the scenes with the new Tomb Raider game, some of the tensions between Microsoft and the Square Enix and everything over who was to blame for how that game didn't, with the exclusivity deal and everything, didn't really work out too well for them. Like I've talked about other things, but
anyway,
to know if I've seen the leaks from the game. Like I'm talking about them. Like
I'm just gonna answer the last questions because really, guys, it's 5:30 here. Like
yeah,
yeah, you gotta go.
So a guy asked me if the magazine is owned by Sony. Answer is yes and no, meaning that the magazine itself, the brand, it's obviously owned by Sony. Therefore, the magazine is, but it's franchised. I guess it's the right term.
It's kind of like when I used to work for Marriott, and it was managed by a company, but they had certain standards they had to uphold to if they wanted to carry the Marriott name branding on their hotel.
Yeah, it's probably something like that.
Yeah, you got like a private owner, but like he's got he's probably paying money to Sony to.
Yeah, you have to guarantee a certain number of sales, and that it's coming out every month and whatnot. But I'm not paid directly by Sony. Okay, I don't know if that was the question.
I got to get up super early too, so I'm putting an end to all this.
But least my fucking God, stop asking. Okay.
Yeah, people are tired of this guy asking all the time too. And as I said, skepticism is healthy.
Yep.
Question all you want. That's fine. I expect it. Just we'll be playing the game side by side when it comes out on day one. So at that point, like we'll all be on the same page. So Slick Moth, it was nice talking to you. It was nice having you on here talking about PSX 2016 and talking some more stuff about Batman. I hope to have you on the podcast at some points in the future when you're available and we could just have some casual conversation going on about video games and stuff going on in the industry. Gabe, thank you very much for being a willing participant in the Q&A session that just kind of railroaded PSX conversation.
I thought it was going to be shorter, to be honest.
Oh, dude, like I totally knew what you were getting into, and you had no idea. You thought it was going to be like, hey, let's have a quick little thingamadiggy, and I'm like, nope, not going to happen, dude.
To be fair, a lot of it was not me. I didn't ask that many questions.
No, Kobe, you were fantastic.
Thank you.
No, so thanks for listening, everybody. BiteSizeImpressions.com, bite with a Y. Also at BiteSizeImp on Twitter, because it wouldn't fit at Bite-Size Impressions because they won't allow that many characters, unsurprisingly. Podcasts, opinion pieces, videos, stuff like that. So come check it out if you like the show. And there's podcasts available there. You can stream, download from the website. You could also get it off of iTunes in North America. So see you later, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Deuces.